Hey guys, welcome to the When Shooting is Life podcast. Today we got a special guest, Brantley Merriam. If you guys aren't familiar with Brantley, Brantley was working with T-Rex Arms for a while. During the split with Lucas Botkin, Brantley joined him, and he's now working with Lucas Botkin and with his new company and enterprises. A little bit about Brantley's background. He is a USPSA Carry Optics Grand Master, and he's also teaching as well. Brantley, just thank you so much for joining us on our podcast today.
Appreciate y'all very much for having me here.
So, Brantley, why don't you go ahead and just start us off? What are some other things that you would just like the audience to know about yourself, and what are some of the cool things that you're working on right now?
Gosh, cool things about me. I like to shoot a lot, as much as I possibly can, for sure. Got started into shootings and firearms about, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. 2020 was kind of when I first started shooting. Just I turned 18 or turned 18 a couple years before then, I want to say. And I was like, hey, I want to start carrying. I want self-defense. Went down the rabbit trail of like the Instagram and the YouTube. Saw some competitive shooting, and I was like, dude, that looks like so much fun. Like I have to go do that. I would be missing out if I did not try to do whatever the heck they're doing right now. Went down that rabbit trail. Started getting good at competitive shooting and been competing for, like I said, 5 or 6 years since then. Started training recently. Earlier this year was the first like full year that I was actually training. I've been hit up for many years before then, but I was like, hey, I'm not ready personally, either my own personal development or even just like curriculum based. That I was not ready to, or I was not ready to teach then. Took a lot of time to actually like practice. Like sometimes people can do things well, but then actually being able to articulate it to somebody else, it's like a whole different ball game. And so that was kind of the muscle and the skill that I had to develop before I was like, hey, come take a class, come like give me your money. I wanted to actually be like really diligent with people's hard-earned money that they're actually willing to give to me, that I would actually give them a good return on investment with that money. And then yeah, so started doing TRX Arms. I think early last year is when I was hired on there. I have a CAD background of just like 3D design, and kind of manufacturing, kind of in that aspect, a lot of industrial design as well. Got hired on as a product developer over there, working with the Kydex, with the holsters and all that stuff. And this new venture, doing a lot of product development when it comes to the defensive company and also the nylon. So like I said, I had the background in the CAD and the milling, kind of all that thing. But what's not normal for me in the background is kind of the nylon and the sewing. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm really enjoying learning right now. It's like literally hopping on the sewing machine, learning all about that, and just being able to make a good product for the end user. Because I kind of have the end user like knowledge in my head, but now I have to have the manufacturing knowledge in my head as well, to give the customer kind of the best product. But other than that, dude, it's a whole lot of fun. I got two little kiddos and a wife at home that are amazing, and so anytime I'm not shooting or working, I'm hanging out with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. A couple years ago, Lucas did like a Q&A, and he said that, one of the things he would do differently is that he would spend more time working on nylon and sewing. So this is for Koo, because Koo was making fun of me for having like three sewing machines, but sewing is cool. Knowing how to sew and make things is cool, right?
Dude, it really, really is. I got like little knickknacks and bags all around here. Literally, I'm just like plop down on the sewing machine, but I'm just gonna make like a little bag. And it's like, what is this bag called? I have no clue, but like I made it with my own hands, and so like that's just cool to me. So any kind of thing that I can like take from like conceptually in my head and actually have like a product in my hand that I can hold. I mean, I just absolutely love doing that. It just gives you just the warm and fuzzies for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. I 100% agree. Do you do 3D printing as well?
Yep. So we have a Bamboo Labs printer, and then we'll have a SLS Form
Nice.
Labs in the works later
Nice.
on once we get into a building. But yeah, so lots of background in 3D printing from shooting college, going through like the college like lab kind of area, basically of printing in between classes. So it was a lot of fun.
Nice, nice. All right, Koo. Whenever I come to visit you, I'll get you a sewing machine. We'll get you started on some nylon. All right.
All right, man.
So, I guess one of our first question for you, Brentley, is that's where a lot of people know you from, is that your time working at TRX Arms, and what's some of the things that you did there, and how did that experience really shape you?
Yeah. So the main thing that I did there was kind of Kydex and holster development. I was hired on as a holster developer, and so basically what my job started out and consisted of is I would take 3D models and scans of the firearms and the different light combinations that the market would or come onto the market basically. And then I would make basically a mold, so a positive image, and out of the Kydex or out of the HTTP that we would have kind of in the computer, and then we would send that over to the Haas machine. We would write up all the program of the cam actually of that program. So it was cut it out, and then you kind of process that mold with some like little nitty gritty here, do some vacuum holes, kind of stuff like that, and get that mold ready to be put on the production line. And then I would actually test that mold basically with like real Kydex and real guns, real lights, all that features. And we were just playing with some crazy tolerances because the machining they had was like super, super dialed in. I will say one of the things that T-Rex does really, really well is holsters. They are by far the best like definition holsters. When we would like pass fail a mold, it was because it was like 5/1000th of an inch off, plus minus here or there, where it was like, oh, 5.2 or 5/1000 this way is too much, 5/1000 this way is too little. Like we have to hit that dead sweet spot. So it was like crazy precise and crazy accurate. So that was one of the things they did really, really well. And so with that process, I was able to learn a lot of like the gun geometries, a lot of the light geometries, and kind of take a lot of knowledge from there about how actually manufacturing works. That was kind of the first place where I did full scale like widget production kind of manufacturing kind of thing. Normally it was more so of like CAD design and fabrication drawings. So I really didn't get to see the end product in hand. But with this job, I really got to see the end product. And so it was really cool to kind of see all the ripple, like the downstream effects of like what little things. So like if I change something on the mag carrier, like how does that affect bending? How does that affect form? How does that affect the fit testing at the very end? Like all those little things was pretty cool to see. And so that's kind of where I took a lot of knowledge from, probably honestly. Did a lot of the, like I said, the holster development kind of thing. And then kind of halfway into that, not switched over, but added on additional roles of more like content side kind of creation. So I was getting another, like I was the third shooter on the team kind of thing. Like I get to make videos, I get to shoot guns, I get to test products. So that was a lot of fun, honestly, getting a job where I was like, hey, I get to do CAD in the morning, and then I get to go like shoot guns in the evenings, or I get to do a full day of shooting and a full day of CAD. Like it was pretty sweet for me, honestly. It was a lot of fun. And then yeah, I got to travel around. I was sponsored by them as well to compete. So it was a lot of fun.
So that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is that, a ton of people make holsters, but very few companies really understand holsters. And I guess a little bit of my background is that I've been teaching. I'm under the Range Master program. I've completed their master instructor certification, and then I've taken a lot of instructor level classes as well too. So I've been teaching like concealed carry and like level 1, level 2 pistol classes for quite a few years now, and I have seen many garbage holsters come through my classes. What would you say is the things that really separates, companies that make quality holsters versus like your Amazon special or God forbid, like a We the People holster?
Um, Man, it's going to just be like consistency and just quality. Like if somebody's not using what I would consider as like 093 or 125 Kydex, especially if you're running like an 083 thickness. So the numbers I'm referring to is the thickness of the Kydex. If you're running a very thin layer Kydex as like an outside the waistband holster, like that's just recipe for disaster. Like it's going to break eventually, and it's going to be soon. And then it's going to be just the definition and like the click slash friction of the holster. A lot of companies rely just on click, where you'll see them. They'll like have like a super like sloppy looking holster, and then they'll heat up one area and add like a click to the trigger guard, or they'll do the complete opposite and they'll have like a half decent fitting holster, and it'll just be friction. And there's actually no like stop point to where the gun is actually completely locked into the holster. It's kind of just like somewhere in the middle of friction. And what T-Rex really tried to do, and I think they did really well, was actually have like a combination of you want that deep click once you get to the end of the holster, and then a gradual friction kind of as going into it. And so the company can do that, as well as provide consistent gear of like whether you buy a holster today or buy a holster in 2 years, like it's going to be a good product. I think that would be a big plus. And then of course, like holsters are going to break. They're a wear item. It's not going to last forever. I have broken plenty of T-Rex arms holsters and other people's holsters. Like they're going to break. So if they have a good quality and customer service after the fact, that would be a big plus as well.
Gotcha. What would you say are some of the considerations that you take for like retention or like the draw? What are the things that you guys really look into?
Explain that one to me. So like, what do you mean for that?
Um,
Like, like a level one, level two kind of thing, or like
yeah,
feel?
yeah. So I really love like Filster products, right? So you've got like the Filster Enigma, which is like their built system, and then they've
Mhm.
got like this thigh loop. And the whole concept behind that is that, if you're on the ground and you're trying to draw, that it keeps the holster in place like as you're drawing. And
Yep.
so everybody's everybody's got different things that they do. Like T-Rex, you guys had like the claw, which really pushed the gun in, and so that way you had
Mhm.
less printing from like the
The
like
grip.
the grip, the grip of the gun. Yeah. What are some of those things that really matter to you when like you're looking at a holster or you're designing a holster?
Yeah. It definitely depends on like what type of holster I'm running
Hmm.
from. I started carrying with a Uncle Mike's soft holster
Hmm.
with I think it was a Shield. I think it was, yeah, the Shield 2 point. No, they didn't have
I
2.0.
think
It
a
was
lot
normal
of us are
Shield.
guilty of starting with that.
Yeah. 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 Just because it was like, dude, I didn't know what holster to grab like
It
in the
was at
world. So I was
Walmart.
like, exactly, exactly. That was the holster I could literally walk out of the store with that day.
Hmm.
It had like the manual safety on it. And
Hmm.
I think I used I think I actually used the manual safety on that one because I was like, yeah, this is kind of a little bit of sketch. I at least had like a little bit of like a red flag popping in
Hmm.
my head, not like the full red flag where I didn't use the
Hmm.
holster, but just enough to be like, hey, let's keep this safety turned on, probably. Um, but yeah, so it definitely depends on like the type of holster. When it comes to like I started with the whole like soft carry, or like the
Hmm.
Uncle Mike's holster, then went to the like the sidecar style of like full gun and full mag. Then I went from like full gun to tourniquet carrier, and now I'm actually running like just gun as holster and tourniquet, which I think is more important than an spare mag
Hmm.
in a pocket,
Hmm.
basically. And so if I'm
I
looking
agree.
for personal, like a I would consider like a Raptor style holster where it's like just gun, um, I'd say comfort and concealment are going to be high up there.
Hmm.
I'm probably gonna maybe shave off a little bit of like how easy. Like I'm not trying to get sub-second draws from this holster. I'd much rather it be where if I'm in the summertime in Tennessee and I'm wearing like a t-shirt, I would rather it concealed a little bit
Hmm.
better. Now I'm carrying a freaking gun. Like I'm going to print. Like there's no possible way that I'm never
Hmm.
gonna print. So if I can minimize it, that's gonna be cool. But I want to make sure I'm going to carry something that's not like you always feel like you have like eyes in the back of your head, like watching you or something like that, because you're like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm printing the gun. It's like half the time nobody even cares. So you got to kind of just get over that hurdle in general. Um,
It's
Comfort
Tennessee.
of like,
Many people
yeah,
are.
exactly. Yeah, I've seen guys roll up with some sketchy looking holsters. And I'm like, you
Yep.
sir are an idiot, but you know what? I support your right to be an idiot. Trying to think what else. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big proponent of like make it the most or only rely on comfortable holsters because again
Hmm.
you're carrying a gun, you're carrying a deadly
Hmm.
weapon at the end of the day. Now I'm not saying don't put spikes in it for the heck of putting spikes in it, but if it's slightly uncomfortable, like that's kind of the way it is sometimes, make it as comfortable as
Hmm.
you possibly can.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, like still carry your gun. Don't not carry it just because it's uncomfortable, because it's hot, or because it's big, or whatever it is. Like actually still carry it because your life could depend on it potentially that one bad day that you don't carry it.
Hmm.
So those are kind of things I'm looking for when it comes to like a normal like just gun holster. When it comes to a like sidecar style where it's like gun and attachment, it's going to be definitely like flexibility and how like the form factor is. I
Hmm.
don't want too wide. I think the early tier one conceals were just like ridiculously wide, where it like covered like
Yeah.
the front of all my hips,
Yeah.
and then the OG sidecars were just way too thin, like way too narrow, and
Were
not
were
bent
you
for my
guys
proportions.
were you guys the first ones to do the sidecar?
Um, I don't think we were the very first. I know we were the first ones to popularize it as much as we did.
Hmm.
I do think there was another company that either came up with the idea like in tandem with us, like we kind
Hmm.
of both brought it to market, but this was like
Hmm.
well before my time
Yeah.
anywhere with T-Rex. But from what I've heard of stories, it was like us and another company, and I honestly I can't even remember the other
Hmm.
company's name. But we weren't the first, but I know we were one of the first, if not the first ones to make it absolutely mainstream.
Sorry. My lights automatically turn off at 9 to save power. All right.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's actually really cool that you mentioned that because I know that around that time, I started seeing like the T-Rex sidecars, and then I think I saw a lot from like LAS Concealment. I don't see as much stuff
Mhm.
from them nowadays, but I noticed that you mentioned that you carry a tourniquet more so than carrying a spare mag now. I do as well too. What brought you to that conclusion?
The first one was for comfort.
Hmm.
Like half and half comfort, because
Hmm.
at the time I was carrying, like I said, full mag or full
Hmm.
gun. Like it was a 17, maybe it was a 19 at the time. I can't
Hmm.
remember. And a spare mag, and then a tourniquet in the pocket. And I was like,
Hmm.
first off, like I'm not carrying an extra magazine for the actual rounds. Like I'm carrying it
Hmm.
for the malfunction clearing, basically. Of like
Hmm.
if a gun's gonna go down, it's I don't know, like pull a random stat out of my head, like
Hmm.
75% of the time, it's going to be the magazine. It's not going to be the
Hmm.
actual gun. So that was kind of the reason why I would carry the magazine. And then it was like, how often is the magazine going to go down? How about I actually take good care of my gear and hopefully it doesn't go down. And then I'll just put the tourniquet where the magazine is. And then with the sidecar, especially the 2.0, like carrying from um, a spare mag to a tourniquet carrier actually changed how the gun and the holster concealed, because
Hmm.
the sidecar tourniquet carrier was soft and pliable. It was made from like a
Hmm.
biothane sheet. And so it actually was added to the comfort by like a large factor of that holster. And so I was like, hey,
Hmm.
this is more comfortable, and I'm still carrying life-saving gear. Like, hey, I'm gonna run this, as well as it concealed a little bit better as well, because it was a little bit shorter and like it was deeper. So that's kind of first put me onto the tourniquet carrier. And again, having like little kiddos and wives and dogs, it's
Hmm.
like, hey, I should probably carry something that's gonna be like, I don't know, life saving. Because I mean, if you're making
Hmm.
something that's gonna have like you're gonna put holes in people, how about you carry something that's gonna like stop holes from killing
Yeah.
people? So like put a little bit of medical in the cars, in the bag, in the diaper bag, kind of stuff like that. So then the natural progression was just like, hey, yeah, let's carry a tourniquet like on body.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely agree with that. Are you familiar with John Correa of Active Self-Protection?
Yeah, I think I've watched this stuff in the years
Hmm.
past.
Yeah, he is actually an expert witness. So people actually pay him to testify in court about defensive shootings. And so that's all he does is he watches. I forgot the last count. He's like 8 or 10,000 shooting videos that he's watched, and so he reviews them. He has like stats on them, and
Wow.
his one of the general things he says that of all that literally the tens 8 or 10,000 he's watched from the civilian context of non-police. He's only seen like a handful of times where the person may have needed a reload, right? And so, just going off of that, he says that he recommends carrying medical more so than a spare mag. And so, I kind of went off of that concept, and it's really kind of changed the way that I approach things because as I'm teaching classes, I want to approach things from a more realistic perspective. A lot of people like to do their tactical ninja theory, but I want my stuff to be grounded in what's actually out there rather than I watched Die Hard or I played Call of Duty and I feel like you need this or this because it looks really cool. And
I
that's
have to
that's
have
really
a
kind of changed
Beretta
my
and a submachine gun, dude.
right.
Don't be hating on my dreams.
Yeah, I have to be carrying a Flux Raider P365 because it's super cool. I do have one, but mostly just because it's cool. I don't. Are you familiar with Ben Griffith of Flex Defense?
Yes, he just made GM from PCC.
Yeah, and he's always shooting
Yep,
shirtless. Yeah.
yep.
He's insane, but I love his products. They have you tried the Flux stuff? They're great. I've got
Not
stickers.
yet.
You should. You
Dude,
should.
didn't they? So, did they used to make something for the Glock and then it got changed, or was that somebody else? Because I remember there
Yeah.
being a Glock one, and then a couple years later, I tried to find it and I never could find one.
Yeah. I mean, if you give me a minute, I'll go grab I have all three generations. But yeah, so they started the Glock ones, and then they switched to the P320 because the P320 had the modular fire control unit,
Hmm.
so it was easier
Yep,
to
makes sense.
integrate into their chassis. And then they had the first gen, and then they had like the second gen of the P320 Raider, and then they came out with the P365. They're collaborating with SIG, so they came out with like the polymer version because the original was aluminum.
Hmm.
There's I believe the U.S. military is evaluating the P320 Raider for military use because it's
Dang.
the whole concept is super cool. Like if you get a chance, absolutely shoot one because I mean you've got that PDW package and they've already got P320s. They've got all those M17s, M18s. So it
Hmm.
makes a ton of sense. I mean it drastically increases the shootability of that gun. So yeah, I mean I know you've got friends. Somebody probably has one, and they're getting cheap. The prices have gone out on those, so I definitely recommend go
Nice.
check one out.
Might have to look into
Um,
it.
yeah, they're a ton of fun. But getting back on topic, um, you know, like I said, a lot of our audience, they're really familiar with you in your time at T-Rex. What would you say is it's just some of your best memories, just being there and all the friends that you made and the things that you learned?
Um, yeah, a lot of good people meeting there, definitely, as well as just learning like the overall concept of like what the nitty gritty of like how a business runs actually was pretty impressive to me. Um, it was a lot of like fabric cobbling some stuff together of like seeing just how fast they grew and how like some processes definitely weren't like up to speed of where it was, but then also some processes were. I think one of the things they did well, like I said, was the holsters and also like the QC. The QC department was headed up by an amazing girl, Ashlyn. Like she really, really had some good stuff, like how a good process should go. Of like how much do you QC, how much do you not QC, how much do you trust the employer or the supplier that you're bringing in, like all the different things. And so I would say like that's something that I'm gonna definitely take to the next company, all the things for sure.
Yeah, I think just of my time of following T-Rex and just especially Lucas and a lot of the policies that he's had, like there was the Berry compliance with some of the gear that was being made and how he wanted to make it right, and I really appreciated that from a business perspective because that shows that as a person that he really cares about the integrity of his company and his product, and that really struck me. That I could never. A lot of people they nitpick about different things personality wise, but like that integrity business wise, like that really kind of stuck. That this is a company that you definitely want to deal with. Um, yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
definitely one of the things that I've taken over the years of following all the work during all
yeah.
that
I think
time at T Rex.
Lucas definitely brought or like most certainly brought thousands and thousands and thousands of
Hmm.
customers to T-Rex for sure. I think he is definitely great in that business aspect. And again, like I said, it's that integrity.
Hmm.
Like people, they see through false integrity pretty quick when it comes to even like the nitty gritty things. Like
Hmm.
one prime example was a little bit after I got to start working as like the content side. I think it was brought to our attention that I don't know how it happened or when it happened, but we started. It was brought to the attention that we were selling like the Mantis products, like the little pistol dry fire things,
Hmm.
and immediately Lucas and I was like, "Hey, this is something that we would not recommend." Like if somebody like messaged us or came to the street and be like, "Hey, would you like should I buy these products?" We would be like, "Heck no!" Like run from these things. Um, and they were like, "Hey, like how long have we sold these and how many did we sell?" And it was real quick to be like, "Oh crap!" Like, "Hey, we need to do something." And it wasn't like a knock on a bad product. It was just like we don't recommend these.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how these slipped through the cracks, but they slipped through the cracks. And it was like, hey, how do we fix this situation? Like we could have 100% just like dropped that product
Hmm.
line and never said anything, and nobody would have been the wiser. However, that's not what happened. Like what happened was an email was sent out to everybody that's saying, hey,
Hmm.
if you brought this product, like keep the
Hmm.
product if you want to use it. Like that's totally cool, but we're going to issue a refund if you want to of the I think it was the margin that we had on it basically. So
Hmm.
then you
Hmm.
could sell it. You would have paid like direct cost to it, and
Yeah.
we would not have a profit on that product because we wanted to make sure we were doing the right thing. Um, like little bitty things like that were just above and beyond like kind of that deep founded like integrity aspect was something that was really really drawn to me about that.
Kue and I have already accepted the fact that we're on this podcast. If we don't like your stuff, we're gonna say it. And same goes for true for Mantis too. There are some Mantis stuff I like they've got their AR laser. I think that one's pretty fun.
The Blackbeard's pretty
It's
cool. That one's the one that actually like resets the
I like
trigger.
that
Like
one.
that one actually
Hmm.
has some training value.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, any kind of
What
like the pistol, like you have to break the shot perfectly. I'm like, I don't know about that one, bud.
anybody who competes at a higher level, they don't. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I think there might be some GMs who are sponsored by them. Um, But other people who are like M class or GM class, they typically don't like the Mantis. It's essentially it's a little add-on unit that's it's like a not a recoil. It's like a motion sensor kind of thing, and so it kind of gives you metrics on the draw. Tell
Yep.
us why you don't like it.
Yep. So from what I've seen, and this is like, please take this as a grain of salt.
Mhm.
I have not actually used this
Mhm.
product. This is just me looking into like kind of the specs of the product as well.
Mhm.
So like I could be talking completely wrong, but this is like my opinion of this product. So I think from two things it does is like it measures kind of the draw of like how much your gun moves during the draw, and also how I think for lack of a better term, smooth
Yeah.
and non-disrupting your trigger press is before the shot breaks. And so like when it comes to the draw, honestly, like I don't think too much information is needed to clean up a good draw, other than literally like either having a buddy or practicing in front of a mirror. Like if you're drawing and anything except your hands and arms are moving, like that's wrong. Like if your head's moving, your shoulders moving, like anything's moving, like, okay, fix that. Once everything's kind of stationary and you're literally just going from hands to gun and gun to eye line, like then we can start worrying about different things. But up until that point, like that's the only thing you got to focus on. And then when it comes to like the trigger break, I would much rather rely on the sighting system of my firearm to tell me whether it was a good or bad shot, instead of, and you see this a lot of times, and I've like witnessed this, where you'll see somebody shoot with a little mantis thing and immediately their head goes down to look at their phone screen. And it's like, dude, all the time that you just used to look down at your phone screen could have been processing what your sights just told you the shot went. But instead, you're going to go and try to rely it on a little bitty sensor attached to your gun, instead of literally just looking at your freaking sights and seeing, oh, hey, they lifted from the right side. I bet you my bullet went to the right side. That's where I would have like my biggest kind of gripe on that product.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've heard about the Mantis, is that it's more of like the smoothness, because you're very limited. It's all it is just an accelerometer, and it's just tracking that motion. And so, what you're that's absolutely like, that's not the most important thing. And so, a lot of people, they're going to just try to do smooth draw, smooth draw, smooth draw, and that's really not the most important thing in that draw process.
No, definitely not. I would say definitely have a efficient draw and then worry about the speed. The smoothness will just come from the efficiency side.
So kind of going along with like, some of the product development stuff that you're working on, is there anything cool that you're currently working on right now that you can talk about? Anything excited that, you're really looking forward to?
Yeah. Oh gosh, lots of things we're working on right now, honestly. I think the three that come to mind that have also been publicized as well is going to be a rifle rail. So it's going to be kind of more of the Remington RSAS, 20 XM 2010, CSR, kind of all those things. Or basically it's like the old Remington pattern. And what it does is actually has a direct threads into the rail itself. So you're not worrying about the little M-lock little T-nuts. You're not worrying about the key mod little tabs that fit into place. Like it's literally just like direct thread onto the rail itself. So it's a little bit stronger, a little bit more just like kind of foolproof in this sense, as well as just being a little bit girthier. So it's kind of easier to hold instead of having like this super, super thin piece of metal. Hopefully, and this is where we're going to test that a lot more, is that because of that expanded nature of the rail itself, hopefully it has a little bit more airflow through it so it doesn't heat up as fast as some of the other super, super skinny rails. So that's something we're working on. And then additionally, we're working on a target system. This one's definitely not going to be for everybody. However, it is the most like realistic and just beneficial targets when it comes to either like CQB runs for higher level unit militaries, or law enforcement groups or whatever it is. It's probably not going to be something you like practice doubles on or build drills on. But if you are doing like live fire in shoot houses, like this targets are going to be pretty legit. We're trying to make them 100% one for one when it comes to size, as well as like color and clarity, even a little bit of like reflectivity when it comes to white light and IR lights. And then probably my most favorite thing that I'm working on is an outside the waistband belt. Being a competitive shooter and also being a trainer, and also like a little bit of content creator, like I'm wearing an outside the waistband belt a lot. And like when I'm on the range, like it's going to be wearing it for like 6 to 8 hours straight if it's a match, or 6 to 8 hours if it's a class, or if I'm like dry firing in the evening. Like I'm going to be wearing an outside the waistband belt a lot. And so I want to make sure it is, first off, like providing my needs, like is it keeping my gear consistent, as well as then it's like, is it making comfortable? So I want to keep this gun on, or I'm not like racing to take it off in between stages. I'm not racing to take it off at lunchtime at a class. Like I'm just like totally content and cool with keeping it on. Kind of the same thing with the holster. Like I'm not buying a belt because it's comfortable, but 100% if it's not comfortable, like I might be questioning some things. So making that kind of belt is has been a big like fun project to me. So me and another guy, Chris, at work, I've really been heading that one up, and we're basically getting there to being able to bring the belt to market and all the product to market. So a little bit after launch, these products will be I think Q1, Q2 of next year. I think be in the pipeline possibly.
Nice. Tell us a little bit about your belt. So, is this going to be more like competition oriented or more like duty oriented?
Yep. So the cool thing is going to be being able to kind of flex into both of these roles.
Hmm.
It's literally going to be a belt that is designed to just keep your gear in a consistent manner. The biggest
Hmm.
thing, one of the biggest gripes that I have when it comes to like attachments to belts is literally just the inconsistent nature of where it
Hmm.
places the gear. Like I want my
Hmm.
gun at the exact same spot every single
Hmm.
time. I do know that like a lot of law enforcement and cops like to shift gear around in
Hmm.
patrol cars. Um, and I've also heard the complete opposite of high level cops that I know personally that shoot at a high level. They're like, yeah, no, I don't want that. I want my gear in the same spot. And
Hmm.
so like that is a kind of a concern, or not a concern, but a differing of opinion when it comes to stuff. So like we want to make sure the gear is very consistent. It's easy to install as well. Like we don't want to have like 20 million parts to try to like fabric cobble and piece
Hmm.
together a belt. Like we want it pretty simple and just intuitive to mount as well. And we want it to last. We want it to be lasting and just like however long they want to use it is how long it's going to last potentially.
Hmm.
And then you just do the function, do the job, be consistent, hold whatever gear you want to on it, and then be as comfortable as possible. Because I mean, you're going to be wearing like heavy items on the gear
Yeah.
or on the belt, but if we can make it comfortable, it's going to just make the end user a lot happier in the end.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you don't have to share any details if you guys are still working on it. But I guess one of my questions is that there's a lot of belts on the market. And so people who are familiar with more competition style of belts, most of them nowadays are going to be the two piece where you got the inner Velcro and you got like a thick outer belt. And some
Yep.
people like them so thick they will actually be like plastic tiles. So that way, it is like rock solid and it does not
Mm-hmm.
shift. So what are the things that, really makes your belt special that you really put thought into?
Yeah. So the first thing is going to be the attachment system. Our attachment to things directly to the belt. So that
Hmm.
kind of takes the process of like not having tech locks and stuff like that. So that just makes it a little bit easier. So the form factor of the belt is a lot slimmer, which is good. And then kind of what you're saying of like people have like the plastic tiles, like the Lynx belt.
Hmm.
It's a from what I hear, it's a great belt. But it's a belt designed about around travel, and I would much rather
Hmm.
design my belt for use instead of travel. So that's like a little bit of like a, but then it's like there's different directions or not different directions I guess, yeah, different cardinal directions of the belt itself. Like we
Hmm.
want a very rigid belt in the like top to bottom of the belt, but when it comes to actually like the where it's going to be like inside of a human or on the outside of a human, like we want that to be kind of flowy and more pliable so that it actually moves with your hips and with your person. um, and then it's like just how good can it kind of form around you. And then if it's going to be stiff, kind of up down, we want to make sure that it's holding our equipment. If it's like super, super loose and goosey, it's just going to hang off the side. Your equipment's just going to fall off and be digging into your leg or digging into your hips. So I say definitely where it's like rigid where you need it, but also very comfortable in form factoring to you wherever you want it as well.
Nice, nice. No, that sounds super interesting. Do you guys have any pictures of it on like your site or anything?
Not at the moment. We are launching, I think, in December ish. Don't hold me to that, but
Ah.
ish. And then whenever we launch all products that we currently
Hmm.
have available for sale, and also that we're
Hmm.
currently working on, we'll have published pictures, videos, descriptions on the site as well. So that's something we're doing
Nice.
differently on this company. Is that even if we're launching in December, but the belt's not going to be ready
Hmm.
for another couple months. It's like we're going to have a
Hmm.
product page for the belt that says, "Hey, we're developing this," and it's like, "Hey, if you want to be on the wait list, like hop on now, or if you have questions, comments, or concerns, like also hit us up for the belt or
Hmm.
whatever product is on the kind of the in development tab."
Awesome. Awesome. And I guess a quick question about your target system. So
Hold
in my
on,
mind,
hold on, hold on, hold on, Chris.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you think you could give us a sneak peek of the belt right now, or no?
Not at the moment.
All
Maybe
right,
offline.
all right,
Okay.
okay, all right. Go ahead,
No
Christian.
worries. We don't want to we don't want to ruin your grand reveal. Oh yeah, yeah. So about your target system. No, that sounds super cool. I guess it kind of sounds like the chameleon targets that I know that they were doing at T-Rex, where you had essentially that was like the 3D models, and then you had like different people in different poses, some with weapons, some with not, guns, knives, cell phones, things like that. Is it kind of like an evolution of that concept?
So definitely not like that in the least
Hmm.
bit. Those were very
Mm.
like cartoony and had
Yeah.
like scoring zones attached to
Hmm.
them. Those were like like you said, 3D renders. Those were
Yeah.
made off of animation software.
Yeah.
These will be actual pictures of humans, like actual
Oh,
people.
okay.
What we're
Gotcha.
doing then, because of AI, is pretty cool. Like we're going to be changing the faces up, so these
Uh-huh.
will not be. You will not see this person in real life. Like these will not be
Ah.
people. However, you will not be able to
Uh-huh.
distinguish hopefully that these are not
Hmm.
real people. Like these are going to be real bodies, real equipment, real firearms, real whatever that may be. Just so it
Nice.
adds realism to it, so that you're
Hmm.
not like questioning, oh, this is kind of a game. It's
Hmm.
like no, like this looks like a real person whenever I enter this
Hmm.
room.
Ah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Nice. Um, yeah, I remember that concept when it came out. I thought it was pretty neat, but you're right. There
Mhm.
was, it did feel kind of flat because it
Yeah, I mean
was.
it's cool for like a PID, like for
Mhm.
like as like a game aspect, not so
Yeah.
much for like real PID, but it's
Yeah.
like it is kind of cool where it can randomize different
Hmm.
images and different setups and stuff like that. So that
Hmm.
there's like a interesting factor about it,
Hmm.
but it was definitely not. It was not used at the upper tier units and
Yeah.
guys, and so
Yeah.
they approached us and it was like, hey, we want this product, and we're like, okay, cool, let's see what we can do.
Nice.
And this current product that we're working on, they're definitely very much so interested in.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I hope that's a top seller for you guys. That sounds super cool.
Appreciate it very much.
Koo, do you want to jump into the competition questions, or I can take over those if you're still sick?
Uh, I could. I could for a bit. But before we jump into like the USPSA stuff, I do have one more question about uh while you were working at T-Rex Arms. Um, did you feel like when you started working at T-Rex Arm, did you feel like it ruins shooting for you, or it actually got you more into shooting?
So you're asking, did it ruin me shooting because it was like part of my job
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Okay. Um, I, there was very few days, like less than a handful, where I was like, man, I have to go to the range,
Mm.
because like a bad day of shooting most of the time beats like a good day of like my previous job before then. My
Yep.
previous job before then was literally slinging boxes back and forth. So I was like, I could be happy slinging boxes, or I can be upset shooting guns. And I was like, how about I just be happy shooting guns?
All right, all right. All right. Yeah, so let's get into some USPSA stuff. So, um, what year did you start shooting USPSA?
Yep. So I started shooting. I think my very first match ever was in late 2019. Like I said, with my grandfather's, I borrowed my grandfather's Gen 217, I want to say, at the time. Shot that, and then shot some. I think a 34 and a 19. I think I got my member number and shot carry optics in 2020. I want to say I shot like 2 or 3 matches without a member's number, and then got a member number and started shooting carry optics. And yeah, I think that was early 2020. And then yeah, been downhill ever since.
And you shot national on your first year of
Yep,
USPSA, right? And
yep.
I was watching this other podcast. I forgot what it's called, but you were placed pretty high on that national um for your first year. How did you manage to place so high?
Dude, with sheer luck and determination and raw speed. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, so shooting at nationals my first year, um, I 100% thought that everybody shot nationals. I did not assume, or I did not know that people kind of waited a couple years to shoot nationals. I don't think it was my first major match, but I couldn't have had more than like, I don't know, 2 or 3 major matches underneath my belt at the time when I shot nationals. It was like, oh, cool, there's nationals things. Let's go to it. So literally, like, grabbed the wife and like my parents and her parents, like we all drove down, um, and like stayed the week or something like that. Shot down in Florida. Like there's nothing around Florida, or that part of Florida. Shot nationals, and man, it was a little bit of luck, and it was a little bit of like just raw skill, due to the fact that like every single stage it was like swinging for the absolute fences for me. At the time, it was balls to the walls, like full send. I literally got the nickname at that nationals, like full send Freddie, because every single stage, it was like I was going to win the stage or I was going to come about 200th place. Like there was no in between. And that's very evident in the scores because I had literally my very first nationals, like I had the stage win, like
Mm.
100% stage win. I beat everybody in carry optics my first time there. Like, could I have done it 2 times in a row? Like, heck no, because it was literally just like eventually, like I get lucky, like I'm going to connect, and guess what? I connected on that little bitty stage. And there was multiple other stages where it was like the single digit placements, and then it was other stages where I'm like 180th, and I'm like 200th, and I'm 120th, and I'm 90th place. And so there was no consistency at all. I literally just had like raw skill that I had not developed yet, but I was just naturally fast twitched, and I had dry fired a literal crap ton before that match, and after that match as well, because I just had a passion for it. I had a huge passion and a love for competitive shooting, and that nationals definitely like it definitely like expanded the fire, like deepened me, because I think I was able to get 28th or 29th place at that nationals. So the people that I went and shot nationals with, I think I ended up beating all but like one or two of them in my squad. And like again, like me going to my first nationals, I'm seeing everybody else shooting. I'm like, wow, these people are amazing. And then I have no clue how scoring works. Like I think after nationals, I figured out how the scoring works. All I knew was like, hey, let me be faster and more accurate. And that was it. Like that was literally the concept of me like knowing how the scoring works, basically.
That's
And then
insane.
yeah, get to the end of day three, and I look down and I'm like, oh crap, I'm like top 30. Like how in the world is this possible? So it was pretty cool and a very like surreal feeling as a B class shooter.
That's
Damn.
insane.
Damn. Did did you have a guidance someone who helped you get that far, or did you learn everything on your own?
No, I definitely didn't learn anything of my own. I did not have like a dedicated training partner. I had a lot of people like throw in little bits here and there. But a lot of the credit I would give to would be like a couple of different things. Mainly, or not mainly, but one a large portion was just the prevalency of good quality training material or match
Mm.
videos on Instagram, YouTube, like all of that. Like early on, if there was a YouTube video or Instagram video out on USPSA shooting, like I guarantee you I watched it 10 times and I dissected
Mm.
it like every inch and every little bitty detail that the high level dudes did. Like I watched it all the time. And then I was very, very fortunate to start in a club in Central Alabama where I used to live with some really, really good guys. Mike Wang, Chase Lane, Connor Williams, like a lot of dudes. Um, some really, really good dudes who now, I mean, Mike he just got second or third in the world at Open Nationals. And so we literally
Nice.
started shooting within 6 months of each other and started shooting at the same club. And so then he was shooting open, I was shooting carry optics. And so it really allowed us to kind of like chase each other, but also not like get in each other's way. Because it was like, okay, he's open shooter. He's naturally probably going to beat me. But if he doesn't beat me by 5%, it makes him look bad. And then it's like, I have to freaking chase him with his open gun, me shooting a Glock or a Shadow at the time. It's like, I have to continuously push and continuously push. So we were never able to like go to a match and kind of just sit back and be like, oh yeah, you shoot good. Like it is like we were racing each other and chasing each other like every single stage. And so it just allowed us to become better than what we probably would have done with if we had not been that close to each other.
Speaking of Glock, do you feel like you're ever at a disadvantage shooting Glocks compared to other people shooting like a Shadow 2 or MMP stuff?
Nope.
Okay.
The only time I would consider it being a question would be like possible split times.
Mm.
But I can easily rip 14 splits consistently with this thing, so I'm not at a disadvantage.
With a stock trigger?
So it's a drop-in trigger kit from a guy named Tactical Trigger.
Okay.
It is mainly stock parts. He just adds his own connector to it, but it's literally just
Mm.
like a stock trigger housing, a stock trigger bar. I think it's a proprietary shoe, but I think that might be changing in the future. So it's about as a stock drop-in trigger as you can
Mhm.
possibly be, and it runs.
Okay. All right. So, um, I'm I'm a B class, by the way. So, I mean, so I'll be asking a lot of B class questions. All right. So, the question I have for you is, excuse me. What technique do top level shooter use in transition that most B class and C class shooters don't realize that exists?
Which technique and transitions?
Yeah.
Hopefully, and this is a big hopefully, the top level guys are not. Well, it's not a hopeful. I can guarantee it. The top level guys are not doing any kind of secret sauce. Like there is no secret level to shooting. There is no
Mm,
do X Y Z and you become a grandmaster. Like there's none of that. It's only the fundamentals. It is
mm,
only grip and vision when it comes to shooting in any aspect. And so if we want to dive into particularly to transitions, it's going to be applying the fundamentals in a very consistent and precise manner every single time. And when it comes to transition, that's going to be your vision and your consistency of grip. So are you finding a small spot on the target? Like, are you able to pick out where you want your gun to stop on the next target? If you just look to the target, your gun's going to stop somewhere on the target. However, if you look at the center of the alpha or the center of the available scoring zone, like your gun has the potential to stop at that spot. And then when it comes to your grip, like are you actually holding the gun in the same manner so that the index that you have developed through dry fire, which is the ability to have the sights aligned where your eyes are looking, because hopefully you are dry firing before this process. And so you have developed that if I look here, my gun goes here. So that if I have that consistent grip, the same pressures that I've done in dry fire, then if I look to a spot, my gun goes to that spot, well, then that's a transition. Then I'm just moving the spot from when I looked at this target, my gun goes there. When I looked at this target, my gun goes there. And having that as an efficient process instead of just throwing my gun willy nilly at a random target and then cleaning it up as I get there. Actually allowing my gun to efficiently just transition over there because I'm already looking where I want my gun to stop. And once my gun arrives in that position, I can start shooting sooner so I don't really have to shoot faster at the target.
mm.
So I so I kind of want to piggyback off of that because so for a lot of reviewers, a lot of these concepts still might be newer to them. One of the big things that I typically hear with competition shootings is that you don't have to have the fastest splits, right? So each target you need typically about two hits on each target, right? So a lot of people think that I've got to hammer those really really fast, right? And like 0.15 to like 0.13 seconds between of those, and that's where you're going to make up time. But then you talk to more high level people, and they'll tell you that you're not really making up that much time if you're trying to hammer those pairs very quickly. Whereas the rest of the stage, where you're moving from target to target and you're running from position to position, that's where you're going to make up more time, and that's where you're going to be faster. Would you say that's about right?
Yep, no, I would 100% agree with that. When it comes to like people trying to gain time by doing this really, really fast, by
Hmm.
having a fast split time, generally I
Hmm.
see two big issues is one is like how much time can you actually gain? Because if I shoot a stage and I shoot a quarter second split, so 0.25 second splits on every single target, and you come back and you shoot a 0.15 second split on every target, that's only a tenth of a second gain on every single target. However, if I have let's say a 0.25 transition and you have a zero point 0.5 transition, I just gained a quarter second on every transition. So I'm just doubling the
Mm.
amount of time that I can actually save on a target. And that's much more realistic when it comes to things that I've seen in competition is that guys have a super, super slow transition and then try to have a really fast trigger finger. And then additionally, is I see a lot of guys as a second aspect, a lot of guys are so focused on having a really, really fast split that they park the dot in the center of the target, confirm it way too much, and it's waiting there. I'm like, just shoot, and they're just still just waiting and waiting until they get like the absolute perfect sight picture because they're about to slap the trigger like crazy twice and just completely disregard and lose focus and lose visual like comprehension to the target and just pray that the second shot gets there. And the only way they can do that like halfway decent is if they have the perfect sight picture to begin with versus actually taking two well aimed shots in a quarter second splits. It's going to be a lot more beneficial and a lot faster as well.
I'm going to steal one of Ku's questions, but um, what do you do to? You talked about the importance of grip and vision, and one of the things that you didn't talk about that is very prevalent at more like entry level shooting is going to be like the trigger press. I would say that anytime I've taken you take any type of like NRA class or something, it's like that trigger press and all the minutia of it. But then you start getting to higher level, everybody's just like strong grip, slap the trigger, and just go. Um, what going on like the vision part of it, what do you do to really focus your vision? Because that's actually something that I've been trying to focus on more. I've been trying to figure out, how do I really focus on that small spot? Because it was one of the things that Ben Steger said is that, you concentrate like all your hatred and your anger into like one spot on that target, and then you kind of fixate on that. And as soon as that dot like crosses that spot, you rock that trigger. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, when it comes to the whole, uh, what some people say as like the third principle or the
Hmm.
third fundamentals of shooting is kind of that trigger press. I would definitely say if it's a NRA instructor teaching you how to
Hmm.
pull a trigger, be like, hey, bro, like, how much competition shooting do you have? Like,
Yeah.
how much practical shooting do you do? And if they look at you like you've grown like a set of horns out of your head, you'd be like, okay, so I'm not coming back to this class. I won't see you tomorrow, kind of thing. Um, that's kind of in jest, but also it's like very real. Um,
Hmm.
when it comes down to like what I would consider like practical shooting, like being able to put the bullets where you want to and as
Hmm.
fast as you possibly can, like you don't have a lot of time in most
Hmm.
scenarios to have a perfect trigger pull. Now, that's not meaning that I want an inefficient trigger pull. Like I want a very smooth and efficient trigger pull. I just demand it being very, very fast. And one of the
Hmm.
ways that I'm able to achieve that, and a lot of other people are able to achieve that, is having a rock solid grip. Basically,
Hmm.
I want to be able to have the gun not be disturbed from where I'm looking and still being able to do this, pulling my index finger
Hmm.
in a fast manner. And so that's achieved by doing a lot of dry fire reps, not putting a coin on the top of your slide and just slow, smooth pull the trigger. Like that's not how you do that. How you do that is freaking put your finger on the outside of the trigger guard, completely
Hmm.
like up along the frame. When you hear a beat, you'll smash to the trigger and you'll see how much your
Hmm.
sights move. If you can do that without your sights moving, well, then you can easily press
Hmm.
the trigger so much effortlessly. But you have to
Hmm.
practice the really, really hard thing first instead of practicing just the very, very easy thing. I had one guy in my class this past weekend. He was like, dude, like I'm yanking all my shots. I'm yanking all my shots. And I was like, well, like in dry fire, when you practice this, like, what do you do? He's like, oh, I always like start from the prepped wall. And I was like, well, there's your reason why. It's like, because I'm demanding something harder of you to do and you've
Hmm.
only practiced something easy. However, if
Hmm.
you practice this hard thing, then doing anything easier is going to be just like a cakewalk to you. So that's where I definitely don't think trigger prep is a third fundamentals. I think it's a subset of grip,
Hmm.
but you still have to practice it. It's not like thing you just never practice and you get good at. Like
Hmm.
it's a learned skill. And then when it comes to the vision that you were saying, how do you practice vision? Man, I would say it's a lot to do with transitions and dry fire.
Hmm.
Is actually just like picking good spots. Either you predetermine them or you kind of have like the Wanzik Kim's kind of the vision focus is like just how good
Yeah.
can you focus kind of in the moment on
Yeah.
spots. I think Mason Lane has another thing with like how good you are to actually like depth field of depth. Yeah, field of depth change focus with your eyes, like actually write words on the targets. And so whenever you transition over to them, it's like, hey, can I read that target? Yes, I can. Okay, cool. I'm actually focusing on the target. So there's little things like that. You can put up black pasters on targets. I would definitely recommend like if you're doing that, like using those as training wheels, not as like an end all be all. Like don't do that on
Hmm.
every single target and don't do that all the time. Um, but transitions and vision is definitely one of the one things where it just takes so much mental effort to determine if you're doing it or good or bad that sometimes it is beneficial to literally isolate it completely. Like no
Hmm.
gun, nothing else. Literally, you like hear a beep and it's like, I'm just going to look at these six targets in this
Hmm.
perfect order. And then it's like, that's all you do. And you're just like, man, was I kind of fuzzy on that third target? It just takes so much mental, like constantly switched on thought and conscious effort to do this. Like you're not going to do this for a long time either. Like if you do this for like 5-10 minutes, like you should be smoked because you should be focusing so much harder. And I think even Wanzik talks about it where like you have to increase your focus level the longer you progress through your practice. So like if you
Hmm.
start your practice at this focus level, like
Hmm.
the next rep you have to focus harder. You have to focus harder
Hmm.
every single rep because you are getting mentally fatigued. And so like how do you counteract that basically? And then you only focus it harder by like focusing harder like mentally basically. So that's how you kind of can practice that.
I absolutely agree. My dry fire definitely gets sloppier the longer the session runs. There's definitely that point of diminishing returns. After like 45 minutes, you're kind of smoked. And
Yeah,
for me, I find that's when I kind of like peak and I'm not getting as much out of it anymore.
yeah. It definitely depends on on a couple of factors. It definitely depends on the
Hmm.
person, like how much
Yeah.
how much conscious effort you're actually putting into it.
Hmm.
And then like what drills you're actually doing, how much separation you have in between drills.
Hmm.
And then it's like how much like desire and passion and just like raw
Hmm.
hunger do you have for it?
Oh yeah.
Because man, I remember early on, like I would have like hour and a half dry fire sessions.
Mm.
And now they would not be like drills would not be stacked on top of each other. Like I would
Yep.
have a little
Yep.
bit of a break in between drills, but they were like
Yep.
longer drills where I would do like a 2 position drill where it was
Yep.
a full like 10 to 15 second drill, probably something like that. And then I would wait 20, 30 seconds and then do the next one. And I would do that for literally like an hour and a half. And now it's completely different. Now it's like a 5 to 7 second drill and I'm doing really, really
Mm.
quickly back to back to back. And I'm only doing it for like 20, 30 minutes. So definitely it does like shift, I think, in your shooting
Hmm.
journey. And it's just possible, like probably personal dependent as well.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely something that I've kind of found myself like plateauing in my skill level, and so I have been watching like Wanted Kim stuff, and he is the big guy talking about that vision focus, and I found that I've heard that plenty of times. I've watched his videos plenty of times before, but then it's weird that unless you actually sit there and you start actually internalizing what they're talking about, and then I just find that okay, hard focus on these tiny spots on the target and then bam, my dot automatically there, automatically there, automatically there. I'm like, okay, well, okay, this is making me faster. I should have done this sooner. Took me a
Yep, yep,
while.
yep. Yeah, if you have the opportunity to take one of his classes,
Mm,
um, I taught with him at Summit last year, the year
nice,
before last, I want to say,
nice,
and I
nice.
got to kind of hop into his class for the vision focus class, and my mind
Mm,
was like, whoa! Like
mm,
walking out of that class, I was like, wow, that is something that I have not been doing that I most certainly need to start doing and start
mhm.
implementing in my practice.
Do you think
We
do
reached
you,
out.
oh
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say we reached out to him. We're still trying to get him on.
I'm just he's a busy guy for
Yeah.
sure.
He is. He is.
I was gonna ask, do you think there's a difference between vision focus and seeing faster, or is it the same thing?
Seeing faster, vision focus. I think they're different. I think this kind of sounds like a semantics kind of question of like, what do those two terms mean to you? It's
Yeah.
like whenever I hear vision focus, I feel like that's more so like once I have locked onto a spot,
Hmm.
how good am I able to kind of focus all of my mental concentration and effort onto that spot? And whenever I hear the term see faster, that's more so of like um, possibly of being good at switching tasks. So see faster, meaning I'm doing this task. How soon can I stop seeing this task and see this next task? So whenever I use that term, I use that term a lot to students when it comes to transitions, where they'll like hang out too much time on this target after they're done shooting it, and then they'll go over to this next target. And I'm like, hey, see the next target faster so that your gun will naturally move over there because your gun's going to follow your eye line. So that's kind of what I uh, would say and venture to say it would be like the difference in those two kind of terms.
Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is because I think I struggle a lot with seeing faster. So, what advice could you give me to be able to see faster,
Yeah. You mean like
like the
the
transition?
mental speed or like the actual like transition, or is it like, hey, I'm having a difficult time like putting these tasks in quick succession of each other?
All of that.
Well, that's like five different things, sir.
Um,
um,
yeah, go for it. All of them.
uh, oh goodness, I would say so. You have to, if we're going to talk like competition shooting stuff like that, like you
Mhm.
have to have a pre-planned. You've predetermined what you're going to shoot. And so then having the ability to kind of summarize that in something that you're going to remember before you start pulling the trigger. How I conceptualize that is like I take like a slideshow basically of like what are the spots that I am focusing on in the next drill. So if the drill is L-Pres, an L-Pres setup is 3 targets downrange, a reload, and 3 targets downrange. Well, then when I'm doing that drill and I'm pre-planning to run it in my head, I'm thinking about target one, center of the target, target two, center of the target, target three, center of the target, bottom of my mag well, target one, center of the target, target two, center of the target, kind of in that manner. So then all I'm thinking about is literally that picture, that picture, that picture. And so
Mhm.
then I'm as I'm shooting the drill, I'm just looking for that next picture. I'm just looking for that next picture to
Mm.
kind of find, because I don't want there ever to be anything. I don't want there to be a time where I'm not doing something. I always have something to do. Like there's always effort I can put into running. There's always effort I can put into running. There's always, I'm sorry, reloading. There's always effort I can put into to like getting a better sight picture. There's always something I want to be doing. I just have to make sure that I'm planned something to do, you know? And then it comes down to a little bit of like how fast twitch and slow twitched are you, of how good you are actually um, like stopping this task and starting the next task. That's kind of like, I don't quite know how to actually get better at that possibly. You play a lot of video games or anything like that?
Used to.
Used
I,
to?
yeah, used
Decently
to.
well at video games, or was it kind of just like a struggle?
I was pretty good at Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 2.
Well, then,
But
yeah, I would think you'd probably have a pretty good like switch to you when it comes to like the mental process. So it's literally just like pre-program. And then once you start to like pre-program, then it's like, hey, how good can I kind of program on the fly, kind of that vision focus thing of like, how good can I pick on the next target, pick on the next target, pick up on the next target, that little thing, as well as like that's a little bit higher level. Like if you want to even dumb it down, or not dumb it down, make it more simple, even than that. Like it comes down to how good are your mechanics, how good are all the shooting aspects. So that another analogy I say is like, how much mental effort does it take you to tell your body to draw the gun? Because if it takes mental effort of, oh, I heard the beat, let me find where my hand goes on the gun. Oh, I have grabbed the gun. What does my pressure feel like on the gun? Let me bring the gun out of the holster. Let me find my left hand on the gun. Let me find out where my left hand goes on the gun. Let me find the pressure. Let me align my sights. Oh, there's my sights. Pull the trigger. Like that whole process takes like so much bandwidth because I actually haven't like made it subconscious. However, at a different level, if you say once I hear the beep, I literally just say draw, and the gun literally comes up to my eye line with a perfect sight picture. Like those are two different processes. One I've made completely subconscious because I have worked it and repped it so many thousands of times, basically, that now I can do it like in my sleep. Like that's where we want to achieve. So if you have trouble with like kind of the bandwidth issue that you haven't actually made all these skills subconscious yet, well, then I would say work on making those skills subconscious so that you have like a shorter bandwidth to call upon those tasks, basically.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that's what I'm doing during dry fire, where I have to really ask myself if I'm gripping the gun correctly, you know. So that's one thing that I like to do as a warm up when I dry fire is I do it kind of slow just to make sure that I do everything correctly. And then once my warm up is done, then I start like going faster and faster. So yeah,
Nice.
that makes sense. Okay. All right. Next question I have for you is how many rounds do you think you shoot a year? And how often
Um,
do you train?
yeah. So thankfully, I have a little bit of what's called TISM when it comes to how many rounds I shoot. I actually have a very nice and pretty Excel spreadsheet that I've
Nice.
been keeping since I started shooting back in 2020. So I know pretty accurately how many rounds I've been shooting every year. This past year was around 35 to 30,000 rounds of ammo, and that is practice, that is matches, that is classes, like everything kind of combined. This year, I'm on pace to make about 40,000 rounds. Like I said, that's practice, that's me teaching, that's me shooting for content, that's me at matches, kind of all encompassing basically. So not terribly much when it comes to other high level guys there who are dropping lots and lots of rounds, but it's more than the average fella as well. When I first started shooting, my first year of shooting in 2020, I think I shot sub 10,000 rounds. I think it was in the ballpark of like 6 to 8,000 rounds. So like very minuscule. And like, how did I get so good? Like it was dry fire. It was so much freaking dry fire.
Mm.
Like you would not want to know how many hours and hours and hours I spent in dry fire, like up to the point where like I would dry fire in a spare bedroom, and then I would like bring my gun like to bed with me. And so like me and the wife would be watching TV, and I'm literally just like practicing like a good trigger pull with a good grip like on the wall. And she's like, "Do you have to keep doing this?" And I was like, "Yes, I have to." So it was like just like all the time. It's like if you're not going to be able to shoot a lot of rounds, like you have to put in diligent and dedicated dry fire. But when it comes to how many times I'm like practicing nowadays, um, in like on like during the season, which I would conceptualize as like maybe like March to November ish, probably. I try to at least practice like once a week if I can, if I have access to a range. When I was working for T-Rex, I had the great opportunity to actually practice every Thursday. I think it turned every Thursday, every Wednesday, something like that, where I would literally leave work and go straight to the range, and I would shoot for 2 hours and then drive home. So I had a very good opportunity. Now, I think we shoot on like Tuesday mornings most of the time over at Glock Store up in Nashville. They have an amazing facility and awesome dudes and instructors up there, and the guys help out as well. So about once a week is like a live fire practice. I'm definitely not as diligent as I used to be in dry fire. I used to be really diligent with like 3 to 5 times a week. This past year, I will make excuses for myself and also call myself out of like I needed to practice more a whole lot, but I did around probably like 1 to 3 sessions a week in dry fire. So definitely should have done more. Like no excuse other than I just did not do it this past year. And so that's practice, dry fire. When it comes to like matches, I think last year I shot like 8 to 10 major matches. This year I shot I think 10 major matches. Just due to schedule and work and everything like that, I don't really shoot a lot of locals. I'm not going to be shooting a match every weekend. That's just not my style. I'd much rather skip like 3 to 4 local matches and go shoot a major match. That's where I think a lot of fun is had, as well as a lot of learning opportunity, especially for new shooters. Like there's so much stress and just pressure on the line of shooting a major match because like one, like the match fee is a whole lot more than the $20 or the free that you got because you showed up early and helped make stages. Like you're actually putting your hard-earned money on the line. Then you have like the time off work potentially if you're traveling on Friday. You have the hotel that you're staying at. You have the food because you can't like eat at home. You have the travel fee. Like there's so much money and effort and pressure involved with a major match. Like you want to do well, like that is going to show you your flaws so much faster than shooting like a dozen or half a dozen local matches. Like really, really like go shoot major matches, go travel, because also you get to see like not people outside of your little group basically. Because if you go to a local match and like it's cool, like if you can win your local match, like that's super, super awesome. Or even if you're not shooting and winning your local match, like that's totally fine. However, you're only seeing your group of dudes. If you can go out to a major match, like an area match, or even like a high level state match, or even a national match, like you get to see literally the cream of the crop. That's what's pretty cool about our sport is like not every day, especially like like golf or basketball. Like you're not gonna like play a hole with Tiger Woods. You're not gonna like go play basketball with Michael Jordan. Like that just doesn't happen in those sports. However, in our sport, like you do have the opportunity to literally go shoot with like grandmaster shooters, with world champions, national champions, like on like a random Saturday or a random Sunday. Like that's so so cool. And so like you can ask questions, and most of the people that I've experienced are really really like enjoyable and want to help you out. And so it's one of the cool things you can kind of take away of going to major matches as well.
Nice, nice. That's that. I think that's pretty cool how you put that. That there's more on the line with that major match, and so it really changes your mental game. Speaking of which, Minnesota next spring. What's it called? Showdown Northwoods.
Yeah, yeah, Northwood.
Oh, is
The
that the Warrior Shootout?
That's
no,
the Vortex Optics one.
shit, what is it called? The one that I told you to come shoot at. Let me see,
I'm
what
not
is it
familiar with that
called?
one.
I
Oh,
forget.
what are you?
It's called
Um,
Vortex Optic Northwood Showdown,
Okay, I'll look into that one
presented by
then.
Belt Bounty. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, that one.
yeah, that
nice.
one's being sponsored by Hunter Constantine. Last year I was there.
Good dude. Good
Kue
dude.
was there. Um, Lena Michelik was there. Tom Castro was there. I don't remember how many other big names were there,
There
but
was a lot of
there
big
were a couple.
names.
Yeah, there's a good amount. But yeah, yeah.
Nice.
If you're looking for one and you want to go to Minnesota, get yourself a Juicy Lucy. You can come hang out with us.
I got to do that.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best match in Minnesota. Hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, kind of going off of that, what would you say is what's one of the biggest mental traps that you see a lot of shooters fall into, especially competition wise?
Mental traps.
Yeah, what
That's
are
a good
some things that
question.
maybe people hyper focus on that they don't need to, or what are some things that
Mm.
really cause people to lose focus.
especially at a
Um,
major match.
Hmm.
Yeah.
lose focus at a major match. Maybe two things.
Hmm.
So one is um, checking not checking scores, but like trying to manage scores like during the match.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you are not, like it's gonna kind of sound
Hmm.
a little mean, but I think it's a very truthful. It's like if you do not have the ability to throttle your performance or
Hmm.
have the ability to change stage plans on the fly, like
Hmm.
you worrying about
Mm.
how you're shooting and like, oh, I'm down 20 points, let me go make it up on the next stage, like doesn't matter in the least bit. Like just recently, like I'm still like practicing this muscle. I still suck at this muscle. Is like looking at practice score and realizing, hey, I'm down 10 points. I have to go make up 10 points on this next stage. Like that is still a very much so struggle for me because it's like if I'm throttling performance, why am I not shooting at my highest skill level that I can achieve consistently every single stage? So why am I like artificially holding myself back? Or then it comes down to the point of like, hey, I actually have to shoot like riskier stage plans basically.
Hmm.
And so some people are not able to shoot riskier stage plans because there's inherent risk involved. That's why they're called riskier. However, like you got to risk it sometimes to get the biscuit, and sometimes you're not going to connect, and sometimes you are going to connect. So that would be one aspect, kind of that scoring thing. And then the other aspect is actually being able to shoot at a consistent pace.
Hmm.
I see it a lot, and also I was like 100% guilty of it for many years of my shooting. Was I was shooting at my 100 to 110% skill level like
Hmm.
every single stage. Like I was saying about the first nationals, like I would literally swung for the home, like for the fences every single time I went up to bat, went up to the stage, and I connected on some. And man, I got struck out so many other times. So I would say definitely picking a pace that you are comfortable. I'm not gonna say comfortable. That's a bad explanation. That you are able to achieve a high
Hmm.
performance, one of your highest performance. Like doing that every single stage, I think is going to be a lot better, and you're going to see the results pan out a lot better as well. Because if you can place 85% to 90% or like 70% consistently every single time, like you're going to have a better match placement versus if you do like a 90% run, then you do a 40% run, then you do a 80% run, then you do a 75% run. Like if you keep bouncing back and forth, like you're never going to have any consistency. So definitely picking a pace. And mainly when I say picking a pace, what I'm trying to like hit at is picking
Hmm.
um, stage plans that you can execute efficiently and correctly. And then it's like picking good um, site confirmations and just site pictures on targets because those are the only things that really should be changing. You should always be shooting, you should always be running at max effort. There's never a time where you should be like running slowly. There's never a time when you should be doing a manipulation slow. So the only thing that changes is your like order you shoot the targets and how fast you pull the trigger on the targets, basically. Like those are the only things that should be changing when it comes to stages.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I really like that. I like that. Um, Speaking of kind of like that mindset, what would you say is the mindset that really has helped you to win? Are you are you more like hyper focused, like really sucked into it, or do you try to be a little bit more relaxed?
Um, I would say you have to be a little bit of both because like
Hmm.
to be that like locked in mindset
Hmm.
for the duration of the match would be just so like mentally fatiguing. Like you would be
Yeah.
checked out by I don't know 3/4 of the way through day one
Yeah.
probably. Like you would just be drained. So you have to be able to kind of go back and forth. So I would say definitely like when it comes to if I'm like the coming up from the shooter, so like I'm in the hole or in the deep hole when it comes to shooting. So I'm like there's three people ahead of me before I fire, before I start shooting. Like that's when I would turn back on to that like deep focus, like really get in the zone, like practice my stage plan in my head. Like that's what I'm going to focus on. And then like as soon as I'm done shooting, I've hit OK on the tablet where the score is already entered. Then I can be like, okay, now let me relax. Let me go back to like maybe joke around with the buddies a little bit more, and then you can kind of like start flexing around possibly where like if it's a super major match, like do you do good under pressure? Do you not do good under pressure? Like those things you can kind of change up. But generally, I like to stay a little bit more focused going into like about to shoot, and then more
Hmm.
relaxed and kind of fun, kind of in between.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I got a
Yeah, I
question.
think that. Oh, go ahead, Ku.
Oh, first, congrats on getting third place on, the 2025 limited Optic National.
Thank you.
Um, so the question I have for you is, what do you think held you back from getting first place at that national?
Me not sucking.
Hmm.
Um,
What do you think you did wrong?
uh, so a lot of the times it was like second shots on targets that I should have got
Mm,
alphas on, or I'm sorry, should have got alphas is not the right terminology. That I wanted to get alphas on would have been a better
hmm
terminology. What I attributed that a lot of to was just the consistency of grip. A lot of times I would
mm,
have inconsistent grip pressures. And so my sights would
mm,
not return to the exact spot I was looking. They would return just a little bit outside of where I was looking, and I would still send that second shot. And that's where I would get a lot of Charlies from. And so there was a couple
hmm
stages where I would have like 12 Charlies. And I was like, man, I am just not shooting my face. I would attribute that to a good bit, as well as just shooting what I would classify as like scared. There's a
hmm
couple stages where you see me just shoot very, very fluid and just like natural kind of thing, where it's like I'm not pushing past my limits, but I'm definitely
hmm
pushing at a like a high level pace. And then there's other stages where I'm just like look like I'm like trapped in wet concrete. Like I'm just like sluggish, I'm slow,
mm.
and that's just like a mental change that I have to make sure that I'm like keeping myself honest with every single stage. And I did not do a good job of that at that match. So that's where a lot of the things, that little thing, I had like a malfunction with my Glock that was 100% user error. Like I overloaded a magazine because I didn't
Mm,
think I could overload them. Well, guess what? I'm
hmm
never going to overload a Glock mag again because I'm going to freaking count every single round that goes into that
Yeah,
mag.
yeah.
So literally like a single shot, and it was like a half lock back, and I was like,
Mm.
oh dang it! Like I know what this is. So shuck out the round and then keep going. Little things like that. Like there's never one thing that makes you lose a match, but there's like 1,000 little things that make you lose a match. So I could sit here and I could talk for an hour probably on the little things that I did wrong all throughout the match. But overall, it's just like I have to perform more consistently at a higher level.
Gotcha, gotcha. Just, cool. Did you have any follow up on that?
No, 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 no.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I'm working on too, is trying to have just a very consistent grip. Because I definitely find myself, when I'm going up for the draw, I'm not always nailing it with that consistent grip every single time. And so it's throwing off my shots. And that's just a lot of dry fire, isn't it?
Yep. Lots of dry fire and lots of live fire at the range, honestly.
Mm,
Um, I do think there's a large benefit in being able to like send rounds downrange by shooting either predictive doubles or build drills or
mm,
something where it's going to like test your grip actually, like shooting very, very
mm,
fast, almost or not almost like 100% faster than you
hmm
think you can, not in an unsafe manner by any means,
hmm
but in a predictive manner where like you're definitely stretching your comfort zone of either distance or target availability or just raw speed. Like testing that and pressure testing it is going to be a lot more beneficial because then like I said, the same thing with the trigger explanation is like if I can push myself and achieve good results at like this speed, then if I can bring back that speed, I should also be able to achieve good results at a slower speed.
Gotcha, gotcha. Um, Kind of getting into that. So this is a question that Ku wrote, but I'll ask you. So, what would you say? A lot of people they'll be stuck in B class for a while, and it takes a while for them to progress from B class to A class. What would you say is something that that really kind of clicked for you and kind of helped you to really progress to that next level?
Mm, I would say the biggest like you're gonna say like what's a good way to get through like a plateau in shooting
hmm
or
hmm
like specifically B class or just like a plateau in general.
Yeah. I guess like a plateau in general.
Okay. Um, then I would say my biggest plateau was probably in M class. It took me a
Mm,
while. I progressed
mm,
up into M class pretty quick,
yeah.
and then stayed in M class for like double the amount of time that it took me to get there. Um,
Mm,
and the biggest thing that got me out of that was just the mental consistency, where it was like I had the raw skill to do the thing. However, I
mm,
tried to do the thing about 10% faster than I should have been able to.
mm.
And sometimes I got lucky and sometimes I didn't get lucky. And so it was literally just that mental switch where it's like, hey, I don't actually have to swing for the fences every time. I can shoot at a still fast pace for myself as well and for others and still achieve good results, but not just going balls to the walls every single time. That was where my biggest like kind of plateau was. I would say for a lot of other people that I've seen when it comes to plateaus, especially in that like B to A area, one, it's like depending on which type of shooters you are. I kind of like to generalize. There's two camps. You have like the rabbit and you have the turtle. Like the rabbit dude is going to have like the raw time champ, but he's going to have like 12 mics on a local stage. Or you'll have the turtle guy who he'll shoot like 95% of points, but he'll be like 50 seconds off pace on like a
Hmm.
six stage local. So like it
Hmm.
really really depends on which ones you are. Like if you're the rabbit, like you have to draw yourself back and you have to like demand hits from yourself, no matter how much time it takes, because it doesn't matter how fast you go. If you keep missing, like you're still going to be slow.
Hmm.
Doing the thing correctly will always be faster than doing the thing incorrectly, but at a faster rate, because you're always going to have makeup shots. You're always going to have missed spots that you didn't land right.
Hmm.
So if you just do the process correctly, you'll naturally be fast because you're already like kind of that fast twitch. And then, however, if you're like kind of that turtle shooter where you're shooting really, really good points,
Hmm.
but you're just super, super slow, it's like you have to push past your comfort level, especially in practice. Like if you were a turtle shooter and you shoot a practice drill comfortable, like you are
Hmm.
wrong. You are 100% wrong, because doing the same thing that you know you can do is only going to get you the same result. And it's going to be the exact same pace that you currently shoot. Like you have to push past your limits in practice and shoot at that highly uncomfortable, not uncontrolled, but highly uncomfortable pace, and kind of prove to yourself it's like, oh hey, I can still do the thing at a higher pace. And then your brain and your vision will start catching up to yourself and like, oh, now this kind of feels a little slower, let me push even further and kind of continue on that process.
Yeah,
Mm, gotcha.
it's very interesting that you said it because when we had Matt Pranka on our podcast, he basically said the same thing too, where he basically said that A class is technically GM. It's just that the M class and GM are just more consistent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I would agree. I think I would agree with that. Maybe I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't say A class, because I've seen a couple of A class guys that like manipulation wise, splits, transition wise, would get smoked by a GM. But I've seen a lot more M class people that can put up GM times. They just can't do it 9 out of 10 times. They'll do it 5 out of 10 times or 6 out of 10 times. But there's nothing that a lot of M's and a lot of GMs, like they shoot the same splits, they shoot the same draw times, they shoot all the sames, but it's just that consistency factor that puts the GMs where they're
Mm,
at. And maybe you could say the same thing with A's and M's. Like A's and
hmm.
M's have similar things, and then the M's just do it more consistently. Something to that aspect, probably.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, I think that consistency part, that's a lot of people, they just don't appreciate just how much time it takes to be really consistent, because I attribute this a lot to movies. Like one of my favorite movies is like Quentin Tarantino Django Unchained, right? And so Jamie Foxx, he practices for a bit and all of a sudden he's a crack shot. And everybody thinks it's a training montage where, you run up the stairs, you punch the beef, right? And then you're
You mean
good in
Rocky didn't
five
get
minutes.
good in just like the 1 month leading up to the match? He actually put more than a month into the training.
That was a really short montage, right? So I mean,
Oh,
that's all you need. People just don't appreciate, like, at like a M or a GM level, just the insane amount of hours that it really takes to become,
yeah.
that consistent, right?
I could. I think it's two things. I think it's the lack of appreciation, but then also
Hmm.
I think it's the internal discounting where they say, "Oh well," like they say to themselves, "I can't put in that amount of time, so then it must be impossible
Mm-hmm.
for somebody to achieve that." Versus
Yeah.
if they literally just said, "Hey, like I don't have the time to dedicate to this thing. You
Hmm.
dedicated more time to it. Good job." Like they
Hmm.
can't say that. A lot of people are just not self-aware enough to actually do that, so they must try to either discount it in that manner, or just be like, "Oh, you got lucky or natural talent or whatever that may be."
You mean everybody in a YouTube, Facebook, Instagram comment section?
Basically, yes.
Uh, Ku's been doing a lot of trolling lately, and so it's fun to see all the people who come out of the woodwork for that.
Nice.
Um, that honestly, that kind of captured like a lot of the last questions that we had. I wanted to ask you a couple fun questions. So, you know, just from your time being in this industry, you've got to meet a lot of cool people, shoot a lot of fun guns. Who's some of the top instructors that you've really enjoyed? You've really learned a lot from.
I haven't taken, well, I've taken like one or two actual
Mhm.
classes while being
Really?
in the industry. So very,
Uh-huh.
very few. And that's not like a like, oh, cool, I'm self-taught. Like, no, no, no. Like, no, I
Uh-huh.
have been deep diving in all of the instructors' information. I
Mm-hmm.
just haven't
Hmm.
personally gone to a lot of classes.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have promised you, I have watched. If you're an instructor, I have watched your content,
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed. Um,
Mm,
just because I was like so hungry for any kind of information.
mm,
And then with the invention of the internet and Instagram and all that, like it was so
mm-hmm.
easy to find
Mm-hmm.
good information as well and hear discussions of why this information is good and why that information is bad. I do think that's one of the good things we have now in the industry. When it comes to high level instructors and just overall people that have like poured into my shooting, um, I got to bring it back to like a couple people probably. I mean, just like Race and Mike Wang early on, like literally, we really didn't have a lot of like head to head practice sessions where we would just go and like bang out drills together. But it was just like the conversations we had on the range, pushing each other at matches. Like that was like very, very beneficial for me. Getting to teach and take classes from like Stager, from ones at Cam, even just Joe Park messaging me and like shooting with me and being like, "Hey, bro, you're doing this," and I'm like, "Dadgummit!" It's like, "Don't tell me I'm doing that." And then he told me one thing at Summit, like I think it was like while we were practicing or something like that during Summit, and then like any kind of off break I had, like I was literally just going banging that out, like trying to fix that issue that he was saying. Little things like that, and then honestly, like it's anybody who's practiced with me. I've
Mm-hmm.
had great training partners that I've trained a couple times with me here and there. I haven't had like a dedicated training partner just because I think I do a little bit better just training kind of internally. But you don't need somebody who's like leaps and bounds better than you to get better. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just need another set of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. Like I absolutely love it when I'll shoot something and like a another person who let's say is not at the same skill level to me, he's like, "Hey, why do you do that?" And I'm like, "I honestly have no clue why I do that, but thank you for bringing it to my attention because I'm not going to do it again because like that doesn't make any sense." And so like you don't have to have like super high level knowledge. Like sometimes it literally just takes another set of eyes to be like, "Hey, that looked weird. Tell me why you did that weird thing." And it's like, "I don't have a reason. Let's fix it." Or if you do have a reason, then you can explain it, kind of thing. So I would say that was going to be one of the like the coolest things and the people that have kind of poured into me a lot when it comes to the industry.
Nice, nice. Um, yeah, and just kind of going off of that. Well, actually, Kue and I we have this conversation all the time that you know, especially people who are getting into guns, people who are newer to the scene. It's always kind of difficult to tell who is a good instructor and who is just kind of like spouting things. Because like when you say like you've listened to everyone, that makes you a big fan of like instructor zero, right? And all
No,
his all his
not in the
big
least bit.
buzzwords, right? The bigger the
No,
buzzwords, like
dude,
the
if you
more
get like a
realistic it
soup
is, right?
salad and I'm like completely checked out after like 3 words, I'm like, nah, I'm good. No.
How do you so when you were getting into it, what were some things that you looked for in an instructor that really showed their skill and that they knew what they're talking about? Because, some people, they can put out some flashy videos.
Yeah.
So how do you tell them between people who actually are that good or teach that well?
Yeah. I mean, first off, if you're going to go to an instructor, like I would
Hmm.
100% recommend, because there are so many great instructors out there, like I would highly, highly recommend that go to an instructor who
Hmm.
is actively progressing in the space, whether that be they're competing a lot of times or they're practicing in their own like thing, but they're potentially pushing their practical performance basically. Don't go to somebody who like 20 years ago they were great in the world because I mean there's some people that are amazing now basically. And I'm not saying that go to somebody who just because they're a great shooter like 100%, but that's a in my head that's a requirement because I know there's so many good people out there who are high level people who can also instruct. Like I don't think there's need to go to somebody who's a high level instructor who can't shoot. You don't go to a coach who's never competed at a high level. Like you go to a coach who competed at a high level and also can coach. So base one is like you have to be able to shoot. at a high level. You can determine whatever a high level is. Like that's kind of semantics at that point. And then it's the ability to one is kind of understand the concepts they're teaching, and then two, relay it in a manner that you can retain information from it. And then like a third kind of bonus point would be give it being able to give information in multiple different ways, so that if you and your buddy go, he may can say something to you that you get, and then he might say something else to his buddy that he might also get, even though if you don't have like the same learning kind of concept, basically. Generally, how you kind of conceptualize the first two is like, hey, how simple do they make the terms? Like you're kind of jacking off or kind of ribbon instructor zero. It's like, dude, if you have to pull out a dictionary because of what they're teaching, like that's a red flag, like guaranteed. Like do not trust that, because I'm not going to say it happens every time, but a lot of the times people try to hide knowledge or hide their lack of knowledge with big words. But because if I use this $20 word to cover this principle, it makes me look smarter than if I use a couple like 20-cent words, basically. Even though I kind of touched on the beginning, it's like shooting, there is no secret sauce to shooting. Like it's very, very, very simple concepts, but they are not easy to do at a high level. Like they are very, very difficult to do under stress, under a time constraint, while maintaining a high level of accuracy. Like that's the difficult part. But like what we were actually doing, like we're putting the sighting system in the center of the target and pulling the trigger. Like that's a very easy concept. But again, doing it fast and accurate is the kind of the hard part. So can they shoot well, and can they actually give information in a simple and concise manner? Like are going to be the two things. And then it's like, if there's people that you like and people that you enjoy watching and shooting are also kind of agreeing with you in this manner that these people are good, well then yeah, that's kind of good. That kind of was like the friend sniff test and litmus test. Like if all of your buddies say this guy's a quack, but you're like, no, I promise you he's good. It's like you might want to listen to your buddies. I probably wouldn't go spend your money on that class.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with what you're saying there. My background is, I grew up teaching Sunday school. I grew up teaching Bible clubs and doing after school kids programs. And that kind of really formed my philosophy of the way I teach, is that, if I could take a big concept and simplify it for a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old, then I could take something like, how to handle a firearm, and I can explain it to somebody who's into their 20s, 30s, 40s, because, take the big concept, break it into smaller, more digestible chunks. And all this terminology, it's going to be new to a lot of these people. And so I absolutely agree that, a lot of times simpler is better. And that, a lot of times people, they do try to appear fancier by hiding behind a thesaurus. And that's absolutely unnecessary.
Yep. I'd much rather the shooting do my talking than my mouth. So just shoot what you shoot and then talk as simple as possible.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you guys like stop making fun of Instructor Zero, man? I'm trying to have him on the podcast.
Dude, just buy his did he ever come out with a price on that little gizmo gadget that he was trying to sell? Was it like $200 something like that? Probably something ridiculous.
Every time I see a video from him, it's always something with like rubber bands and like a treadmill and shooting. It's something crazy. What were you saying?
It's like go ahead.
No. That was it. That was it. That was just my joke.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd come on our podcast anymore. but I think that was another thing I really liked about like T-Rex Arms and the way that Lucas ran things, is that, when you're kind of an independent company, you can these are the products I like. These are the products that, I'm not a big fan of. And, I don't have to worry about this is sponsored by Sonoran Desert Institute, or this is sponsored by Mantis or USCCA, right? And you can kind of say what you want to say. And I really appreciate people who are able to do that, because, I would prefer an unfiltered opinion. And that's not to say that people who are sponsored by those companies are bad. It's just, it's a little bit harder to take their opinion seriously when, there's people backing them. But I get it. At the end of the day, you've got to pay bills. And so I get it. So that's kind of my personal philosophy, is that, I want to be able to, produce content that I can do unfiltered, unbiased. Uh, Ku's not really sponsored. Ku's
It's not sponsored. It's just
part.
more like partnership. Just
Yeah,
have you heard AT3 Tactical?
Hmm, I have not.
Okay, they're just the reason
they're
why
good guys.
yeah they're
They're
good
good
guys.
guys.
They help out a lot of like the Minnesota matches. They sponsor a lot of our matches in Minnesota. So it's just good to help like
Yeah.
put their name out there because they help
Mhm.
a lot with
Hmm.
the USPSA stuff in Minnesota.
Hmm.
Nice.
Well,
They a
speaking of
gun store
sponsorship,
or
oh,
like?
well, they're I don't want to speak too much on it because I could say the wrong thing, but like I don't know too much, but they're like an optic company.
Okay.
They have
Yeah, yeah,
optics.
yeah, optics, but they just don't sell optic. They sell like other company brand too. Like they sell Trigicon, Vortex, and stuff too. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
But speaking of sponsorship, would you take a sponsorship from Glock?
Um, I would potentially take a sponsorship from Glock if they had the right things in the contract. Yes.
Like what?
Um, Honestly, it's not like in a non-self-seating way. Like I'm not hurting for a lot. I'm
Hmm.
very fortunate
Hmm.
to have like shooting and firearms as
Hmm.
part of my profession, and so I'm able to dedicate a lot of more um, resources, I guess you could say, towards that, as well as my current position and my current job does provide a lot for me when it comes to shooting and competing. And so I'm very fortunate in that manner. So that means that a lot of my boxes are already checked. And so that if I was going to wear somebody else's jersey, it would have to be for, I have to have a large reason to put somebody else's jersey on,
Hmm.
basically.
Are you getting a Glock V model?
No,
What do you think about it?
no, no. When it originally came out, the rumors were, hey, it's going to be completely different. It's going to be like all different internals. And like the first thing I was like, crap, like my Glocks, it's very possessive, but the Glocks
Hmm.
that I enjoy shooting are now
Hmm.
going to be less reliable potentially because
Hmm.
they're going to be
Hmm.
different than the decades and decades of track records that Glocks have. So then I thought about it and I was like, okay, like I can buy Glocks now.
Hmm.
And if the V models turned out bad, well, then I'm good. Or I can buy Glock models now and the V model turns out good. And then guess what? I still have Glocks. So I was like, either way, that's a win-win. So then I went and picked up two more Gen 5 17s. So I was like, you know what? I'm not upset with my decision at all because my two competition guns are kind of getting worn out a little bit. They probably only have like another year or two on them. And so I was like, you know what? You're never going to be upset buying another Glock.
Glocks wear out. People don't realize that. You shoot them enough, they do
Yes.
wear out.
I
Yeah.
mean, after hundreds of
Lots.
thousands of rounds. Yeah.
Lots.
I think
Hmm.
I have on my main gun, I don't think I have quite 50,000 on it yet. I think I have close to like 40 maybe on it. And then I have two guns and I try to not to have like a backup in a main gun, but I swear
Hmm.
one shoots better than the other. And I don't know why. And so I don't shoot the thing two a lot. And so that one maybe only has like 20, 25,000 rounds on it.
Hmm.
But both of them are not shot out a lot. I've heard like
Hmm.
Stager's Glocks, he has like what, 150K on or something like that, something wild. I'm like, that gum, that's a lot.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know he goes through a crazy amount. I think I saw Juancic post on Instagram today that he feels like he outshot his Glock barrel, so he just replaced his after like 40,000 rounds. So he
I
says,
saw that.
yeah, he said in his post that he wants a 3 inch grouping at 25 yards, and his Glock barrel was doing like a 5 inch grouping, and so he just replaced it.
Dude, if I shot a 6 inch group at 25 yards, I would be ecstatic.
Yeah, I
Like
was gonna
that would
say.
be amazing for me. But
Like,
I also 100% understand like Wanzik is that high level thinker. Like
hmm.
I could see it being like something in his head where he has to have an
Hmm.
accurate gun or he like thinks of it too much possibly. But yeah, I don't think I can pretty confidently say I have never missed a shot due to the
Hmm.
inaccuracy of my gun.
Hmm.
Every shot that I have missed, I can pretty much attribute to me moving the sights.
Hmm.
I was
Well,
gonna say, I
oh,
was
go ahead,
gonna
Coop.
say that you're actually incorrect about the Glock V model. It has not changed because someone already came out with a Switch for it.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
haven't
No.
I
So that
haven't
was me
seen them
saying
shoot it yet.
originally.
I haven't seen
Yes.
them
Yes. Yes.
shoot it
Yeah.
yet. There's pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. We went to Glock store last week, and they got one of the early Gen V models, and so
Mhm.
we took it apart, and I was like, dude, it's the same. So I was
Yeah.
I was wrong in my
Yeah.
assumption, and the rumors were false that they were going to be all different because it was like, oh, it's not going to be compatible, nothing's going to be the same, and it turns out it's like, haha, it's a Glock. It's always the same. Like it never changes. Like I should have known.
I will still cling dearly to my Gen 4s and Gen 5s.
Oh, take the Gen 5s, leave the Gen 4s. That
I
built-in
agree.
magwell and the ambi slide releases, like the front serrations, like all of it is just better.
Yes,
I
I
love the
agree.
fours. I love the fours. Like people hate the finger grooves, but I love the finger grooves. They just
Those
fit me
never
so
those never
perfectly.
bothered me. Those are I can take it or leave it. But yeah,
My
Gen
hand, it
5's where it's
misses
at.
them. My hand misses the finger grooves. That's me. Well, we're coming up on time. Ku, you got any last questions?
Yeah. Um, we were supposed to ask you five random questions from the very beginning,
We
but
keep forgetting.
Five random questions.
five
Yes,
random question, but then
Ku is well
Christian
known
skipped
for
it.
these.
Hit me. We'll go like uh speed round or
Rapid fire.
something.
All right. So these are just five random questions. All right.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep. Let's go.
All right. So the first question is able to speak all languages or able to read people's mind, even if you don't understand the language.
Oh, able to read people's mind for sure.
All right. If you see a hungry cat and dog, but you can only feed one, which one would you feed?
Dog.
Damn.
So fast. So
Agree.
fast.
Would you rather be part of Billy the Kid's gang or Genghis Khan, right hand man?
Billy the Kid.
If you got
Mm.
offered, okay, but why Billy the Kid though?
I feel like you do more things versus being in the Genghis Khan. Like how many times was he on the front line actually fighting battles? Like versus Billy the Kid, like you'd be getting into some wild stuff probably.
That is true.
And also plus I don't want to like die from a
Yeah.
scratch on the battlefield. Like I'd like a little bit of medicine.
Uh,
All right, so the next one is if you got offered a limited ammo, but you have to give up dry firing, and if you dry fire secretly, someone will randomly die, would you do it?
Oh gosh. Um yeah, I think I could probably do that.
All
I would
right.
just keep my guns at the range. Yeah, I could yeah.
All right, so I did ask this question already, but I think he wasn't a Christian, so he didn't give us, a good answer. So I'm gonna ask you since you're a Christian. All right. Do you think the reason why Jesus hasn't come back yet because he's still busy with the other living planets?
With the other well, I'm not Mormon, so I don't think there's other living planets. Um, yeah.
All right.
you will never be prepared for Ku's random questions. We just accept that.
All right.
Nice. Nice.
That's it. That was the five random questions.
Those are good questions. I like them.
Yeah, but just thanks so much for being on our podcast. We learned a ton from you. It's always great to get people on and just hear their different thoughts. And Ku and I would talk about this that we can hear the same concept like 100 times, but then when you talk to different people, different high level shooters, and the way that they are able to take that concept and just kind of put their own spin or their own flavor on it, it's always great to see things in a different light. And I definitely learned a lot getting a chance to talk with you. So thanks so much for being on our show.
Definitely appreciate y'all very much for having me. I've enjoyed getting to talk through some concepts.
Before I end this, where can the viewer find you if they want to follow you?
Yeah. So my main kind of contact would be through Instagram. I think it's Brantley underscore Merriam. Very, very simple and original. Hit me up on there through the DMs or whatever it is. I also have a website, Brantley Merriam Training. You can see all of the courses and classes that I currently have booked. I think I have three or 4 on the roster right now, 1 for the rest of this year, and then 3 for next year, as well as there's many more coming. But yeah, those two opportunities to find me. And then yeah, YouTube also. If you want to see any kind of match footage, I try to post all of every major match and local match that I shoot. I'll put hat cam and third person cam on there as well.
All right, I put all those description, all those links in the description.
Thank you.
Uh, do you teach everywhere in the United States or just certain states?
Basically anywhere that will have me.
Okay.
This year I've traveled to Washington, to California, to Texas, to I got an Alabama coming up. I've taught here in Tennessee. I just got back from Massachusetts last weekend, so kind of anywhere that'll have a good range and will host me.
All right. Anything else, Christian?
No, no, that's it. Yeah, just thanks so much, Brantley. It was really awesome getting you on.
All right.
Again, appreciate it very much, fellas.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording right now.